Hi and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to talk about structs in the C programming language. So I would just like to explain what structs are. So structs are basically, or structs is basically like a container that lets you group different data types together under like a label. And structs are short for structures. So structs are useful, for example, when you want to represent an object that has multiple attributes. So let's say, for example, you want to model a human being. A human being has a name, has an age, has a gender, and like occupation, for example. So it's just used to model like objects have attributes. So in this example, we are going to be creating a struct called human, and we are going to be modeling as something of a human. So let's say struct stru struct human. Now, what exactly does a human have? A human has a person has a name. I'm going to say char name, and then let's just make this 50. And a human being also has an age. I'm going to say int age. Let's also add something like occupation, for example. So I'm going to say string. Sorry, not string. I'm going to say char occupation, and I'm just going to make this 50 also. So right now we have name, age, occupation. So this is all we're going to be modeling concerning this is all we're going to be modeling concerning a human being. So if we would like to create an object of a human being struct, what we first do is say struct, then we specify what object we are trying to create or what struct we are trying to create. So I'm going to say human, and then we need to give this struct a name. So I'm going to say person one. So what we can now come down and do, we can define the attributes for this person that we had just created, because we had already specified attributes that human class has. So we can see that the human class has a name, age, and occupation. So what we are going to do is we are going to give those attributes to person one I just created, because person one is an object struct human. So we can now come down and say person one. You can say person one dot name equals to we can say Jimmy. Now note that if we try to do this, it's going to give an error because we can't just say person one dot name is equals to Jimmy, because this is an array of characters, and we can't just say it's equals to that. So what we need to do is we need to use a library. We need to import a library. Now we're going to say hashtag include string h. Now I am going to explain why we are doing this, but just follow with me. So I'm going to say strcpy. Now this strcpy function comes from string.h library, which we had just. I'm going to say strcpy person1.name. Then I'm going to say Jimmy. So what we are doing here is that we are trying to copy Jimmy and then put it or append it to array person1.name, because the name attribute an array of characters. So we can't just say the name is equals to G. We have to copy those characters into the array. That is why we're using strc. So the human also has an age. I'm going to say person1.age equals to, let's say, 28, for example. And then the human also has an occupation. So I'm going to say person1 occupation equals to, and again, it's an array of characters. So we can't just say is equals to software developer or something. So what we have to do is we have to use the strcpy function. We're going to say strcpy person1 dot occupation, and we're going to pass in software developer. Now what we have just done is that we have modeled a human being using a struct. Now this can have a lot of attributes, like for example, we can say in gender, where 1 represents male, 0 represents female, male. So what we can now say here is person1 rs person1 dot gender equals to, let's say, 0. That makes this person a woman, but Jimmy is a man's name, masculine name. So I'm just going to put 1. So now we have modeled the struct, or we have modeled a human being using a struct. And the human being has attributes: name, age, occupation, and gender. So how do we now actually make use of all this data? Now we can make use of this data in various ways. For example, I can print out this person's data, but I'm going to create a function for that. So let's just make use of all the knowledge that we've gained so far in this course, in this programming course. So I'm going to say void display person data. Now this is going to pass in, this is going to collect a struct of human. So it means that we have to pass in a human struct into this function. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to print f, and I am going to say name. Name is going to say %c, %c, because we are, oh no, sorry, %s, because we want to print out name of this person, and it's a character array, so we need to use %s. So I'm going to say name colon %s. Now put a comma there, and I'll say age colon %d. And after that, I'll put a comma and say occupation %s, and then I'll say comma gender %d also. So I'm just going to first pass in, we have to pass in the person's name. So I'm going to say struct human person. Yeah, I'm just going to say struct human person, because we actually need to create the human class, human object. I'm going to say person dot name, and I have to pass in person dot age. I have to pass in person dot occupation, and the last thing is person dot gender. I'm just going to put a semicolon there. So what we now have to do is we have to call this display person data function in our main function, and we are going to pass in person1. So what we've done now is we've created function, or we've created a person struct which models a human being, and we've assigned the person's name, age, occupation, and the gender. Then we created a different function which is called display person data, and this function accepts a struct. So what we're now doing is we are trying to print out data, this particular person that we have just passed. So we're saying the name is that, age is %d, occupation is %s, gender is %, and then we're just calling details of the struct. We can say person1 dot name is going to get the name, person1 dot age is going to get the name. So let's run this code now and see how well it works. I'm going to hit run, and it says name Jimmy, age 28, occupation software developer, gender is 1, which stands for male. So right now you can see that we have successfully modeled a human being using a struct in C, and then we've been able to assign persons, that human being's name, age, occupation, and gender. Now what this means is that it's almost a way of doing object-oriented programming, but not specific, because it was in C++ that object-oriented programming was. But if you would like to create objects in a way that has, or if you would like to create an object that has multiple attributes, you can use a struct, and then can write as many attributes as you want inside that struct. So that's what we have done here. We created a struct of human, and we assigned values to that struct, and we assigned attributes to that struct. And then we came to the main function and assigned values to those attributes struct. And then we created a function called display person data, and we passed in the object of that struct that we have, which is person1 here. We could have done the exact same thing here and said we could have printed out everything that we did here inside the main function, but I just wanted to create a different function called display person data to help us do that. And that function takes in struct, and the struct that it takes in is a human object, human struct object takes in. And then we're saying person because person is going to represent the variable human struct object, just like how we did person on here. And then we're just trying to print out the values of that struct. Then person.name, person.age, person.occupation, person.gender. Pass printing out those values. So that is all for today, guys. If you have any question concerning struct, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Please like this video, share, comment. I'll see